This moment is about people. It's about the 202,000 people who rely upon, or at least used to rely upon, tourism to support their livelihoods. It's about the thousands of people who own businesses connected to the tourism industry who haven't had a good night's sleep in a year. But it's also about the people we know are looking to get revenge on a year's worth of canceled, postponed, or delayed travel. And it's about you, the people whose job it is to welcome those travelers back and help this industry recover. You are the people who will inject energy and optimism back into Wisconsin while also frantically working behind the scenes, I know, to interpret every data point and stretch every dollar to put the best recovery plan forward. I am filled with gratitude to be tackling the challenges and opportunities of this recovery with people like you. I am optimistic for our industry and for the people of Wisconsin who are supported by the economic activity our industry generates. Shane Brossard and I are two of those people, and we're excited to speak to you today about the path forward. In my time as acting secretary, I have loved getting to know so many of you, but I haven't had a chance to meet everyone yet, so I want to share a bit about myself and how I come to this work. I'd actually never been to Wisconsin before selecting the University of Wisconsin-Madison, but I had heard that it had a lot of water and good football teams, and I knew the moment I arrived that I'd made the right choice. I'm a birder, a hiker, a foodie, an art lover, and a big live music fan. I love big rocks, long trails, and loud concerts. I'm a fan of Giannis, Aaron, and Bucky. I really like appetizers and sampling new beers, exploring specialty shops, and weekends at the lake. I love things that go fast, people who take it slow, and are quick to laugh. Of course, Wisconsin is the best at all of that and more, which is why it's been my home for more than 25 years. Professionally during that time, I've been a senior leader for nonprofit organizations at the state, national, and international level, all related to natural resources, focused on marketing, communications, and operations. My husband Jason and I have settled in Cross Plains now, just right there at the doorway of the Driftless. And when I'm not pitching Wisconsin to others, we, along with Dottie, spend our time taking in much of Wisconsin, trying all the restaurants, hiking all the trails, and hosting friends and family for day trips and weekends of Wisconsin fun. After a career spent protecting wild places, one thing I learned is you can't just tell someone to care about a thing. They have to get to know the thing to want to be a part of its story. That's what I love about tourism. Once a traveler gets to know a place, whether it's a restaurant, a trail, or a whole downtown, they want to share it with others. They want to see it thrive. They want it to be part of their ongoing story. And that's how enduring communities are built, and I feel pretty lucky to be part of making those connections and doing so to support the state that I chose to make my home. Before I get too much further into this, I'd like to introduce someone many in our industry know as the quarterback of our marketing program, but many of you might not know that prior to coming to Travel Wisconsin, he was a championship collegiate quarterback. I never thought the leadership skills one learned on the gridiron would translate to tourism, but our marketing and advertising director, Shane Brossard, takes our industry into the end zone with every chance he gets. Shane, I don't think I could possibly take this football analogy any further, so why don't you jump right in?
Thanks, Ann. I've been fortunate to live in Wisconsin my entire life. Well, except for that first year of college, when I moved to Michigan to attend Northern Michigan University and play football. It was then, when I left Wisconsin, that I first realized how special this place actually is. And here I am today, working for the Wisconsin Department of Tourism. My wife and I, Amy, have two small children, and we love to travel around the state. My little guy, Benjamin, and I love to go to Badger games at Camp Randall Stadium and the Kohl Center. And when I find spare time in my schedule, I'll be out on one of Wisconsin's 15,000 lakes fishing. And when summer comes, the Brossard family is always up for an adventure. We take vacations with our kids because we know experiences are way better than toys. Our kids long for the cabin trip up north, not because they love the cabin, but because they love family time. And it's these things that create bonds with our kids. They're unbreakable bonds that only come from spending time together. And that, my friends, is priceless. And it's exactly why I put in 110% into my work each and every day. Vacations have positive impacts on families, and that's needed more than ever.
Today, Shane and I are going to talk about the path forward and, with a good amount of detail, what recovery looks like for Wisconsin's tourism industry. We'll take a look at the data and insights we're using to craft our recovery strategy, including the many reasons for optimism and the opportunities that the data is signaling. We'll reflect on how we built the strong foundation from which we're working. We'll take a deep dive into the marketing science that informs our strategy. And we'll finish with the main event, which is revealing the 2021 marketing and advertising strategy. Today is just the beginning of this story. Over the course of these 4 sessions of WiGCOT, our goal is to provide knowledge, insight, and tools to help your organization get confidently headed down the path forward. I want to begin on a high note, and that high note is this: we are ready. I know it's been a difficult year for many in the tourism industry. We've all had to make big and important decisions in the face of almost total uncertainty at times. And I'm not saying it's all sunshine and rainbows ahead, but I am saying this: we are ready. We at Travel Wisconsin have been following the data and using it to make strategic decisions to ensure the bulk of our tourism dollars are spent when people are most likely to begin traveling again. And the data tells us that that moment has arrived. Longwoods International is now reporting that 84% of American travelers plan to travel in the next 6 months, indicating that traveler sentiment appears to be rising in line with news of vaccine distribution, which is especially good for Wisconsin since we are consistently ranking in the top tier of states when it comes to vaccine distribution. The data also tells us that travelers are switching from international to domestic trips, and they are switching from domestic fly to domestic drive. In fact, taking a road trip is in the top 3 priorities for leisure travelers right now. Again, all of that is good news for Wisconsin, where we already welcome 90% of our travelers by car. We also know travelers are more motivated than ever by outdoor recreation offerings. In 2020, we saw a 41% increase in interest in outdoor recreation content on our website, and that trend is continuing through the first part of this year. It's another great sign. Not only do we know we have the goods where outdoor offerings are concerned, but we also now have the Office of Outdoor Recreation, working to unite and align the industry to raise Wisconsin's profile even further. The experts are telling us to prepare for travelers getting revenge on a year's worth of canceled vacations, traveling more and traveling for longer in the months ahead. Tourism Economics is projecting that the largest bounce back in the multi-year recovery for tourism will happen this year. Travelers are going to travel. The question is, where will they spend those vacation dollars? That's the question that drives all of us at Travel Wisconsin every single day. And to make sure that the answer to that question is Wisconsin, we've put together a smart and aggressive marketing plan, including our incredibly impressive Summer 2021 advertising campaign footprint. I am excited to announce here today, to aid in the tourism recovery, we are going into twice as many markets as we did in our record-setting year of 2019. We also have a bigger spend in each of those markets, meaning we will have a deeper reach than in the past. We know we aren't going to get back all that was lost in 1 year, but we've been waiting for this moment, and we are ready. We are ready for the path to recovery. And don't worry, Shane, I won't spoil the big reveal about exactly which markets we're going into, but I do want to take a moment and talk about how we got here. You've already heard me mention that 2019 was Wisconsin tourism's best year on record. I bring it up more than once because it's important. It wasn't a fluke. 2019 was the cherry on top of a decade of growth for our industry, which is a reflection of the strong leadership our department has been lucky enough to have over the years. I am eternally grateful to Secretaries Stephanie Klett and Sarah Meany, who positioned us so well for the moment that was 2019. Their leadership also helped us prepare our industry to withstand the incredible hit that was 2020. I've learned so much from both of them, and it's my goal to continue their steady leadership as we navigate our way back to 2019 levels and beyond. Okay, so let's indulge ourselves for just another moment more in remembering 2019. We put such huge numbers on the board: 113 million visitors, $22.2 billion in business sales. We helped offset the tax obligation of every household in this state by $687. And for the first time ever, we broke that 200,000 mark when it came to jobs. At the end of 2019, things were feeling great. 2020 was to be our year. EAA, Summerfest, and State Fair were coming off of record-setting years. DNC, Ryder Cup, and Society of American Travel Writers had all picked Wisconsin for their big events. Plus, we were so grateful to the governor and the legislature who had just approved that $1.5 million to expand our marketing footprint into new markets. The plan was to use 2019 as a springboard and level up in 2020 for even greater economic impact. To do that, we created a proprietary propensity to visit model to determine target audiences and locations. We built a brilliant campaign that we were so looking forward to sharing with you at WiGCOT and launching immediately afterward. Well, you know the story from here all too well. Just days before the conference, COVID-19 struck and our worlds turned upside down. In the subsequent days, weeks, and months, traveler sentiment plummeted, and all of us quickly learned the steps to the pandemic pivot. At Travel Wisconsin, we immediately made the decision to take an always-on approach, working economically to stay top of mind for travelers, many of whom had told us they just weren't ready to travel. We took this approach because we knew that's how we would best position ourselves for the bounce back. And really, it went well. We landed 144 stories nationally, 36 regionally. We had the third most web sessions ever and actually got pretty close to breaking second. And we saw interest in outdoor recreation content skyrocket along with actual outdoor recreation activity. At a time when our local tourism businesses were hurting the most, we never went dark, and we know that travelers were absorbing the content, staying inspired and longing to travel. At the close of Q2, the Wisconsin Department of Tourism was required to lapse $714,000 back to the government coffers. At the start of the next quarter, we were required to lapse another $801,300 for a total of more than $1.5 million in lapses. It was also at this time that we watched tribal gaming revenues, which account for about $9 million of our annual budget, decline drastically, and rental car fees, which account for $1.2 million of our budget, also get really shaky. Even though that lapse total was equivalent to the new marketing budget, we found a way to protect every new market expansion dollar because we knew this moment was coming, and when it did, we wanted to be ready for recovery. Like all of you, the uncertainty had us nervous, but we stayed on, using all channels to keep Wisconsin top of mind for travelers who we knew were still dreaming of travel. So let's take a look at the summer and fall campaigns that they saw.
Have you ever had the perfect summer? Like really soaked it all in? Caught your breath with a breathtaking view? Explored a fresh coast right outside your door? Been awed by the unexpected? Or savored a meal in the very place it was grown? Well, when's the last time you visited Wisconsin? Up for a Wisconsin fall adventure? Open your eyes to eye-popping color as you explore one big, fresh coast. Isn't it time you experienced the wonders of Wisconsin?
I just love those ads because even though we are physically distancing, you feel like you're right there, experiencing unexpected moments of joy right along with them. That approach is intentional, and we'll talk more about that choice at the next virtual program of WiGCOT. For now, let's head back to late summer, early fall of 2020. During this time, we were also hustling to find and distribute federal relief funds. We are grateful for your feedback and survey responses that armed us with the information we needed to secure that funding. Ultimately, the state of Wisconsin was able to distribute more than $115 million in We're All In grants for small businesses, which included restaurants, $20 million for lodging, $15 million for live music and performance venues, $10 million for privately owned movie theaters, and $15 million for nonprofit cultural venues, and $12 million for tourism promotion and tourism development organizations. It's a total of $185 million and more in relief funds to tourism-related businesses and nonprofits. So by Q4 of last year, it was abundantly clear that the lay of the land for travel had shifted completely. So we refielded the propensity to visit model to make sure we were building future campaigns that reflected this new reality, and we're glad we did. As we moved through that quarter and through the first of this year, we ran a winter campaign that led by emphasizing safe outdoor experiences, but for the first time, layered in lodging packages to help drive overnight stays, facilitating a way for outdoor recreation and lodging to amplify one another. This was part of an overall strategy you saw from us as well as our DMO partners that put an emphasis on resident spending and local business support in the past year, seizing every opportunity to pair a hike with a restaurant stop, a snowmobile weekend with a hotel stay, or driving online local shopping, takeout, and virtual arts and cultural experiences. It's important to remember that as we move through all three of these timelines, outdoor recreation was driving leisure travel, and our Office of Outdoor Recreation was in place to seize that moment. We created the Office of Outdoor Recreation with bipartisan support back in 2019 because the data indicated at the time it was a good idea. It was a leading driver of visitation and the economy in general. But man, did COVID-19 make us all look clairvoyant and like geniuses. The Office of Outdoor Recreation's work of uniting and aligning the industry to raise the profile of our outdoor recreation offering has been one of the very few bright spots in the past year, where we saw purchases of state park passes for out-of-state visitors go up 142%, and the sale of first-time fishing licenses increased by 75%, to name just a few of the eye-popping outdoor recreation participation numbers from 2020. We were the 14th state in the nation and one of the first in the Midwest to have an Office of Outdoor Recreation, and it's proving to be a game changer. So here we are, late in Q2 of 2021. Vaccine distributions are up, traveler sentiment is up. We have word that large events like EAA, Summerfest, and Ryder Cup are game on. And we've prepared another awesome campaign, which is now up on digital and social as of March 1st, and launching on all channels the first week of May, where we will be in twice as many markets as in 2019, with higher spend and deeper reach. We're starting to bounce back, so the question is, who are we talking to and where are they? To answer that, I'm happy to turn it over to Shane to take us through a deep dive of the marketing strategy we're employing for the path forward.
Thanks, Ann. Branding, marketing, and advertising matters more than ever. It's a driver of business viability and growth, and boy, do we need that in 2021. We also know that tourism is a BTP, or a big-time player, when it comes to the economy. We generate billions with a capital B in state and local taxes. And we're an employment generator, creating jobs that support the state's economic health. And we inspire travel, which has the power to heal and refresh, to reset and rebuild. Normally, WiGCOT is a time to celebrate our accomplishments and acknowledge our contributions to growing Wisconsin's economy. However, this year's WiGCOT is a time for us to focus on the path forward. It's a time to come together as one team, as one Wisconsin with one goal: to bounce back stronger than ever. Over the course of this virtual conference, I'll be sharing important information from our marketing plan, which is dialed in to accelerate Wisconsin's recovery. Today, I'm excited to share our targeting strategy, which is powered by marketing science and fueled by millions of hard-working advertising dollars. It's game time, Wisconsin. Let's take a look at our 2021 target markets. First on the board is Chicago. Simply put, Chicago is Wisconsin's most important out-of-state market, hands down. Next up, Minneapolis. Minnesota Nice, Wisconsin's #2 source of out-of-state visitation. Third, Cream City, home of Harley. Milwaukee area residents pack an economic punch when they travel Wisconsin. Let's go red. It's time to jump around. Madison, Wisconsin, my hometown, our capital city. Traveling comes second nature to us Madisonians. Go Pack Go, Titletown, USA, Green Bay. Only Milwaukee produces more in-state overnight trips than the Green Bay area. All right, it's time to meet the newcomers, the rookies, our new 2021 target markets. We've got Duluth, Rochester, Cedar Rapids, Davenport, Des Moines, Rockford, and Wausau. The number 12 is a noteworthy number in Wisconsin. Yes, it happens to be the number on the front and back of Aaron Rodgers' jersey. But it also happens to be the number of markets we're targeting this summer, which is more than ever. We will be in twice as many markets since 2019, our best year on record. And that's thanks in large part to the new market expansion dollars that we received in the last budget. Our in-state targeting is part of a strategic defensive strategy, as we know our competitors will be recruiting our own residents and inviting them to come visit their states. And our out-of-state targeting puts us on the offensive side of the ball and in a position to go after new dollars. Our target markets look especially good on a map when you consider the data indicating that we are entering the year that many are calling the return of the Great American Road Trip. North to south, east to west, we'll be canvassing the Midwest like never before. All of the markets that we're targeting this year are areas where we can find a large number of audiences that we currently under-index, which is the 25 to 44 age demographic. And what this means is that Wisconsin is done leaving money on the table with an age demographic that we know is spending big on their vacations. If you want to know more about that, join my 11 a.m. breakout session where we'll talk about delivering big economic impact with marketing science and data. Also, note that 7 of the 12 markets are new since 2019. Again, the new markets include Cedar Rapids, Duluth, Rochester, Davenport, Des Moines, Rockford, and Wausau. And we aren't just going into twice the number of markets, we're going to them in a much bigger way. This new marketing plan allows us to advertise in more markets, spend more money in each of those markets, and have a deeper reach with our target consumer. Now, you're probably wondering how we selected these markets. Well, I'm sure you've heard of companies like Longwoods International, Arrivalist, and Tourism Economics. All 3 are extremely reputable organizations that supply important data and research to the travel industry. But here's the thing. To my knowledge, nobody has ever combined those data sets to uncover more powerful insights until we did. Let me say that again. Nobody has ever combined those data sets to uncover more powerful insights until we did. In our pursuit to be strong stewards of state tax dollars, we worked with our advertising agency of record to build a proprietary propensity to visit model that combined these data sets to determine which target markets have the potential to deliver the greatest economic impact to the state of Wisconsin. The simple translation is that we use trustworthy data and statistics to predict outcomes. In this case, we've predicted which outcomes, or markets, have the highest probability of generating significant tourism spending in Wisconsin. Pretty cool, right? For now, suffice it to say that we've made this commitment to science because the travel industry is full of brands fighting for the same share of wallet. And I believe those who uncover unexpected data-driven insights through advanced modeling are going to gain the competitive advantage in the marketplace. Speaking of data, let's take a look at some insights for each of our target markets. Guess what percentage of overnight trips in Wisconsin are made by Wisconsinites themselves? All right, now get a number in your head. You got it? All right, ready. Here we go. 46% of all overnight trips to Wisconsin in 2019 were made by our own residents. That equals 19.5 million overnight trips per year, generating a whopping $3.2 billion. When looking at in-state trips of 2 days or less, the top 3 counties visited are Dane County, Milwaukee County, and Brown County. However, when looking at trips with a length of stay of 3 days or more, the top 3 counties visited are Vilas, Door, and Oneida counties. So what's the net-net? In-state trips of 2 days or less trend towards Wisconsin's larger cities, while trips with a longer length of stay trend towards Wisconsin's smaller communities. Let's take a closer look at our Wisconsin target markets. In 2019, 15% of all overnight trips in Wisconsin originated out of the Milwaukee area. This market's population is over 2 million, and in inspiring in-state travel with this audience is a key to accelerating Wisconsin's recovery. In 2019, 10% of all overnight trips in Wisconsin originated out of the Green Bay Appleton market. And a significant percentage of this market's population travels, and they travel within Wisconsin, making it very likely that residents living in the Green Bay and Fox Cities region will get back to traveling Wisconsin in 2021. 8% of all 2019 overnight trips in Wisconsin originated out of the Madison market. And this is a market with a population just below 1 million and covers a very wide geographic region. A high percentage of Madisonians like to travel, which is really good news for the rest of the state of Wisconsin. The Wausau market has significantly high percentage of their population that travels within the state of Wisconsin as well. In 2019, 2.1 million overnight trips originated out of the Wausau area, and we expect that to be on the rise in 2021. Despite the negative impact of the COVID-19 crisis, one positive outcome was that Wisconsin residents spent locally on tourism opportunities, like dining and outdoor recreation and visiting attractions. We expect this trend to continue, and our in-state marketing efforts will keep inspiring travel throughout the state. Now, let's talk about our out-of-state target markets. 17% of all overnight trips to Wisconsin in 2019 originated out of Illinois. That equals 7.2 million trips per year. And of those 7.2 million overnight trips, a whopping 39% arrived between July 1 and September 31st. Now, before I show you the next chart, I warn you to brace yourself. As Director of Marketing and Advertising for the Department of Tourism, it's a stat that I absolutely hate to see, but it's one that we must acknowledge. Overnight trips to Wisconsin from Illinois have been on the decline. If you take a look at 2017, there were over 11.9 million overnight trips that came to Wisconsin from Illinois. But in 2019, that number dropped all the way to 7.2 million. That's a 39% decrease since 2017. In addition, Travel Wisconsin's share of voice and share of spend in Chicago has declined due to the number of travel brands buying significant amounts of advertising in this market. So what's the net? To compete in Chicago, Wisconsin needs to put the focus back on Chicago and increase market level spend. In 2021, we're increasing our Chicago advertising budget by more than 30%, which will net us an estimated 96% total reach within the market. However, I must admit, this level of spend is still not enough. So I challenge all Wisconsin DMOs to put the focus back on Chicago. It's time to invite our friends from Illinois back and welcome them with open arms. Let's take a deeper look at our Illinois target markets. Our number one primary market is the Chicago market. In 2019, 15% of all overnight trips to Wisconsin originated out of Chicago. And a significant percentage of Chicago's 8.1 million people have visited the state before. And we've got to get them back. We're going big in Chicago in 21, and we'll continue prioritizing this market into the future. Close in proximity to the Wisconsin-Illinois border makes Rockford a perfect drive market target in 2021. Believe it or not, this is the first time that we've targeted this market. And again, this is another market where a large percentage of the population has traveled to Wisconsin in the past. Placing paid advertising in this market will yield a significant amount of incremental visitation to Wisconsin in 2021. All right, now let's jump over to Minnesota. 8% of all overnight trips to Wisconsin in 2019 originated out of Minnesota. That equals 3.4 million trips per year. This market has grown over the last several years. However, the growth has been minimal. In 2017, there were 3.2 million overnight trips that came to Wisconsin from Minnesota. In 2018, that number grew just a little bit to 3.3 million, and in 2019, that number jumped up to 3.4. So it is growth, but it's slow growth. And in order to accelerate more aggressive growth, we need an increase in advertising dollars to do that. In 2021, we'll just do what I said. We're going to increase budgets significantly, 77%. And we'll also add 2 additional Minnesota markets to our media buy. Let's take a closer look at the Minnesota markets that we'll be targeting this summer. Our primary target market is the Minneapolis market. In 2019, 8% of all overnight trips to Wisconsin originated from here. This is another extremely large urban center with over 4 million residents living in the market. Its close proximity to Wisconsin's northern counties allows for balanced dispersion of travelers, and is the perfect complement to our efforts in Chicago. This year, we'll be adding 2 additional target markets in Minnesota, the Rochester market and the Duluth market. And by adding both of these markets to our media plan, visitation should increase significantly in northern Wisconsin in 2021. All right, time to head south and talk about the huge opportunity in Iowa. Although only 850,000 trips per year came out of Iowa, we know there are over 3 million Iowans seeking the perfect vacation destination, many of whom have yet to discover Wisconsin's amazing natural wonders, our fresh spin on food and drink, and our warm hospitality. Iowa currently over-indexes on trips of 2 nights or less, with 62% of trips staying less than 2 days in Wisconsin. So what's the net in Iowa? Increasing incremental trip volume and length of stay will be necessary to realize significant economic growth. And to do this, we'll be targeting 3 new markets in the Iowa this summer. Cedar Rapids, Davenport, and Des Moines will all see significant advertising, driving visitation into southwest Wisconsin and beyond. Wisconsin, we can do this. Let's stick together as one team, as one Wisconsin, and let's bounce back stronger than ever.
Shane, I'm so excited about this strategy. Let me see if I can sum it up. Twice as many markets?
Yes.
Bigger spend?
Uh-huh.
Deeper reach?
Yep.
All directed toward data-informed target audiences?
Bingo.
In the research-driven correct geographies?
You got it.
Cool, so that just leaves a couple final questions. First, brand. How will these target audiences feel about Wisconsin when we talk to them?
We'll cover all things brand at Virtual WiGCOT number 2 on April 1st.
Okay, great. And what about campaign, the creative expression of the brand?
We'll reveal the summer and fall campaigns at Virtual WiGCOT number 3 on April 20th.
Love it. And finally, a reset on the metrics. Where are we after 2020, and how will we measure future success in our road back and beyond the 2019 numbers?
We'll do a deep dive into the data during National Travel and Tourism Week, during WiGCOT number 4 on May 6th.
All right, feels like winning. So we have a lot to look forward to for the rest of today and through the other 3 virtual WiGCOT sessions as we pave this path forward together. Thank you so much for making the time to attend the first and only virtual WiGCOT. The travelers are coming. The floodgates are going to burst wide open here shortly. And like the last time we made it through a global pandemic and we were met with the roaring 20s, we're about to experience the traveling 20s. We will build from this decade of growth that preceded the pandemic, and together we're going to get back on track for the people of this industry, our beloved visitors, and our beautiful state. We are ready.